Hey, welcome back to the channel. This is a revamp project of the Tracker Pro 16. If you missed the last video we did that kicked off this project, click the link at the top of the screen right up here, then jump back to this video for the continuation. In this video, we're going to give you an update to the project. We're going to get into how we prepped the wood, exactly how we did it for carpeting. Then we'll get into the electrical wiring for all the LEDs and electronics for the boat. So let's get right into it. Let's go. All right, it's time to start cutting up some of this wood. I've got my new piece right here, going with 1/2 inch thick plywood to replace the 1/2 inch thick wood that came with the boat. I'm gonna use the old deck, strip off all the carpet off of it, use it as a template up against the new wood. That will save me time and having to measure, cut, and possibly remeasure to get it to be a good fit on the boat. So use what you got to get what you want. That's what I'm gonna do for both the deck and for the floor in the cockpit area. So this is what I was talking about earlier with how the boat was carpeted over. Carpet went straight from wall, one piece onto the deck, and then back up the other side. You've got this huge gap right here. So any kind of void like this where the carpet is just basically laying on top of it will eventually lift up. There's nothing to keep the carpet adhered to at this point of the boat. All the way down, you'll see that gap. And it's the same thing on the other side. So what I'm gonna attempt to do is add a little bit of extra length onto the new cut. That will bring it all the way over here, but I'll need to plane the wood down at the angle of the sidewall of the boat. Of course, it'd be a lot easier for me to just replace it exactly how I found it and put the carpet exactly how it was. I mean, that'd be the quickest and easiest thing for me to do. But again, I want to improve anything I see, anything that can be improved from the original manufacturer. I'm going to go ahead and do. I know it's going to take extra time. There's going to be some trial and error to get this size perfectly because I will need this to lay pretty much flush against this. I will need to leave gapping for carpeting, the carpet that's on the floor of the boat, as well as a side wall. And with 20-ounce carpet, that's typically a 1/2 inch gap. But I can't leave the gap the way it is right now because it won't seam up together perfectly. Sidewall will not seam up to the floor perfectly if I leave it as a straight cut down when the sidewall is at an angle. So I'm gonna take the extra time and do this. I already know it's gonna be a pain in the you-know-what to do because with planing it, there's no exact science to it. And you know, a boat is never the exact same measurement from front to back and even side to side. But in the end, it's gonna be worth it. I can see how it's gonna turn out and I'm looking forward to that. And another plus to doing this is that if, you know, God forbid you ever have to take the floor back off again, you don't have to strip the carpet off the side walls to do that. This will be its own independent piece that is attached to the boat and carpeted independent of the sidewall. So you have a little bit more freedom to be able to do whatever you need to do that pertains to just the floor of the boat. If I don't do that, next time you need to remove this floor, you got to strip off all the carpet along the sidewall as well on both sides. It's just a whole lot more work to do. We're going to try to fix that up. Got the new piece right over here, and these lines right here represent the old deck. So I'm going to do a bunch of measurements. I already did a measurement without this floor in there, just putting my tape measure right up against the ribs to keep it level where the actual deck would be, and I ran it straight to the wall to see what the measurement is wall to wall. Between measuring it all the way across the boat itself and using this old piece of wood, I'm hoping to cut back on the amount of back and forth I'll be doing. All right, as you saw, I just fitted it in and it's a really good fit. I am satisfied with it. Once you secure the wood down, you can see there's barely any gap left. I probably could shave it down a little bit more, but I do have some room to play with. I can shift it over there or this way or however I need to when I do the final fitting with the carpet. And I need enough gap to do the carpet. I think it's gonna be tight, which is, I'd rather be tight than have a gap. But as long as in the end, the deck will lay flush, drill it down, good to go. But yeah, again, you can see it goes right up against, no more gap when the wood is secured down in there. Man, It only took about an hour to do, and I'm glad I have that part over because that could eat up a lot of time. An hour is a long time to spend on one piece of the puzzle in the grand scheme of things with a full job like this to do on a boat. And in the end, it's an improvement to how the boat was set up in the first place. So win, 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 right? Win. I've got the wood all prepped up. What I did was sand it down with 80 grit sandpaper, a light sanding, just to give the resin something to stick to. Underside will get 1 coat of resin. The top side will get 2 coats because that will be the side that will get the most wear and tear, sun, rain, you name it, spills. So best to put 2 coats on the top side of your deck. This is pretty simple. Just the instructions are all on the back of the can. Just follow it. Personally, I like to add a little bit more, and I do mean a little bit more of the hardener so that it cures a little bit faster, and really not so much faster, it just ensures it cures properly. I don't want to be in a situation where it's not curing and I have to deal with that. So one thing with the decking, you don't want the resin to cure too fast. Give it an opportunity. Mix it right, give it an opportunity to be absorbed into the wood and have a very long lasting result. To do the resin, I like to go to roller brush when I'm dealing with large pieces of wood like this, as opposed to a paintbrush. To me, the roller just works better. It covers more of the wood faster, it spreads it more evenly, and I don't have to worry about it starting to dry over here while I'm applying the resin over here. And again, just for the large pieces, smaller pieces, I go with the cheap old chip brush. Get it on Amazon for a couple bucks and you're good to go. I'm not going to go into grave detail about how to do this. If you want to know the details of it step by step, I do have a full video on the site already done. Link at the top of the screen. Check that video out if you want to see the full blow by blow how to apply fiberglass resin to your wood decking, to your hatch lids, whatever it is, just applying it to the wood. Check out that video if you're interested. All right, got the coat on here. You can see the shine, and I got the edges as well. So this is the main cockpit floor, and then you have your front casting deck right here. So this should be good to the touch within 4 hours. While all of this is setting, I'm gonna move on to electrical work on the boat, and I did that strategically so I'm not just sitting around waiting. That can do its thing while I'm over here doing this thing. I just want to show you what we're working with here. We've got 2 50 amp fuses on the terminals for each battery. One's for the trolling motor. This stuff is pretty old and rusted. I'm gonna replace that. Actually, we're going to remove this and put a 60 amp breaker somewhere else in the boat specifically for the trolling motor, so we won't need this one. This one right here definitely will replace. It's got rust on it and just old. And then I saw another one down here. Let's see if I can get to it. I'm not even sure the amperage of this one yet. Looks like this was taped up at some point maybe to keep it closed or keep it waterproof. It is down here at the bottom of the boat, which is not the ideal location for it, but just gonna try to improve that as well. We are changing this battery out, which is also a lithium battery, so that'll lighten up back here as well. All right, so just wanted to kind of give you guys the before shot and then get this done, and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. Got the gas tank out, got the Epic battery out, about to take this lead acid out too. And as I'm doing this, it's got me thinking of rearranging the setup of back here completely. And for a couple reasons. One, just thinking of the layout of the wiring, I may opt to install a separate fuse breaker onto the sidewall of the boat. So I'm thinking the ideal place would be over here. What that would mean is I would put the batteries on this side and put the gas tank on this side, which leads to the second reason I'm thinking of redoing this setup is, you know, we have the console and the driver sitting over here and the gas tank is over here. So the bulk of the weight is on the right side of the boat. So having a gas tank on the left will help to balance out the weight of the boat. Not sure why it wasn't set up that way in the first place, but just thinking about it, that makes a lot more sense and may increase the performance of the boat. Who knows? I'll figure it out which way I want to go as I get more into it and put a little more thought into it. But right now, just thinking, you know, why not rearrange how back here is? It's just making a lot more sense to do it that way. And a lot of the wires are run towards that side of the boat anyway. So whatever I need to install right now, I'm feeling like that wall would be a little bit more ideal to install that stuff on. We've got our lithium battery. We've got 2 lithium batteries. This Dakota Lithium, which is a dual purpose starting battery. It's got your deep cycle functions for electronics and 1,000 cc cold cranking amps starter battery. So that's going to be a battery starter as well. And then I have the battery down here, the Epic battery, 24 volt, which is going to be dedicated to the trolling motor up front. So I'm going to go ahead and get the batteries in here. But first, I'm actually going to install the LED lights for this rear hatch because I have access to it the best right now without the batteries or gas tank in here. And I'm going to figure out this conduit. I hope that it works. For all I know, it could be blocked up. And so I'm going to try to run some fish tape through that. It's supposed to come out this side over here and come through this wire loom right here. I was hoping to be able to get it through there somehow, you know, wishful thinking. I was able to peep under here some, and you can see that there's foam underneath right down there. One option would be to dig out this foam and try to create some kind of cavity to be able to run wires. But unfortunately, the foam continues all the way underneath this hatch before it gets into there. So that would be a really difficult task to do. It's just unfortunate when they build these boats, it's really a one and done type deal. A good way to go every time is to create some kind of real conduit that you can use throughout the life of the boat. I could attempt to cut open the deck here, dig out the foam, run some PVC through here. I would have to cut out a lot of this because the level of this is higher than where it comes out on this side down here. It basically needs to come out at the floor of the boat, and this subfloor here is elevated. So not only would I have to run pipe through here, I'd have to angle it down. So I'd have to cut out a lot of this foam, and that is a much bigger job to do. So a simple solution for this will be I will run my own set of wires from back here through the center channel of the boat, right underneath everything. So I will do that. That's going to be the next best thing for me to do. I'll probably cut through the bottom of the floor here, put a nice big rubber grommet similar to that one somewhere over here in the center, and that will be the new way to run wires, both now and future wires, a lot easier. As always, there's going to be problems to solve, and a lot of these type of boats, any kind of rehab or boat build, is all about problem solving 24/7. So I just sat back, put my head to it, and figured this is the best option, most efficient way to go as well, and be able to stick to my timeline. Any other option would eat up a lot of time and also need more materials and cost more money. So let's go ahead and get this going. I want to go ahead and get everything wired up as quickly as possible. All right, so just want to give you a quick update on where I'm at with the electrical work. I didn't stop to record and talk a whole lot. I just wanted to get into it, focus, and get it done. And honestly, none of this is new. I've done this multiple times on the channel, but I'm gonna just show you the layout of the LED lights for this boat. Starting with the rear hatch, I went with foot-long light strips, one on this side and one underneath. Let me move over here. Right there, you guys can see that light strip. And my goal was to get the light strips in before putting the batteries and the gas tank back in, because that's going to block my access. So I have the wires in right now, just roughed in. I'll do cable management, of course, as always. So those are the 2 light strips. Just got them off of Amazon. Really bright, really good, waterproof and protected lights. It actually has, I don't know if you guys can even see, but it has like a protective shield on top of the light. All of them have a rubber type protection on front, but this actually has like a dome-like protective shield on top, which I think is really good. I did silicone around the light strips just for extra adhesion. Just a little step, it's not necessary. These do come with 3M backing, so it doesn't get any better than that, but I like to top it up, especially for client bills where I want it to last a long time and keep it kind of maintenance free for as long as possible. Okay, so that's the very rear hatch. Inside this middle, I call it a middle rear hatch, and you've got a little light bar right there. And I did go with 3 different types of LED lights. Just to show you the strip, this is a little about 4-inch bar right there for a very narrow hatch. That'll light that up nicely. And I'll try to flip the camera. You guys can see underneath, got that one under there, sealed around that with silicone as well. It does have the 3M backing. So that light strip will light up the entire space underneath here. This is where the middle bench seat is. Moving up to the live well, I put a little spotlight in here. This is a waterproof situation right here. The light is waterproof and the fixture is waterproof, and I also added silicone to the front side and behind the light fixture right there. So super sealed up. I know my client does not use this live well anymore for fish, uses it for bait storage, but just in case, seal it up, because you never know, might have a change of heart and want to run this boat in a tournament or something and fill this live well up. But I put a light in here so you can see his bait and tackle, and then got 2 light bars right here in this front hatch, which will light this up well. Also plan to install the live scope black box at the front of this hatch, so with 2 lights in there, you'll be able to see your black box pretty easy. So that's it. Pretty simple layout for this boat, nothing too crazy. My client didn't want to do any deck lights, anything like that. Just doesn't fit his situation. You know, we do what the customer wants, not what we want. Still got to hook up the batteries, which I'll do. But before I do that, I've got to hook up the nav lights. 1 nav port in the back, gonna replace that old one over there, and 1 at the very front of the boat, gonna replace that one as well. Apparently they do not work, so we've got new ones. There they go right here, Perco. So we've got both of these ready to go in next and get wired. And then I will run the batteries, hook up all the batteries, circuit breakers, all that stuff, and then hook up the trolling motor. Getting through it. In order to install the new nav light mounts, I did have to extend the existing wires to do so. This way I could fish it through and have some room to make the final connections. Just touching it up right here with some wire loom. I like to do this on my builds because number 1, the wire loom protects the wire from damage, and number 2, it just keeps the wire looking professional and clean. With the gas tank now installed on the left hand side of the boat, I can move on to wiring up the batteries. Stuff like this you gotta take care of while you have the access. With these boat projects, I try to think as far ahead as possible to get ahead of access issues or just issues in general. Right here is a 50-amp breaker for the dual purpose battery. This battery is installed using 8-gauge marine grade wire. I went with the terminal clamp connectors since we had multiple things to attach to the battery. And if you can, avoid stacking all your wires on top of each other on the battery post. I did have to reroute the bilge pump wires since the batteries were moved to the right hand side of the boat. This was just a simple reroute that gave a little more protection to the wires, as well as created a clean look in the end. Something that I thought would be a nice touch to the hatches was to add EVA foam. This was a good way to add a little flavor to the hatches and also cover up the wear and tear from years of use. This wasn't asked for by the owner, but I figured I'd do it since it fit into the budget and also looked great. If you're interested in any of the products used in this video, as always, I will leave them linked in the description below. In the next video, we're going to dive into all the correct techniques that I use to carpet this boat, and then we'll reinstall everything back in the boat, including the console. Also in the video will be the installation of the trolling motor, live scope, and all the fish finders. And then it's time to get ready for the big reveal after that. This is going to be a short series, 1, 2, 3 punch, and then knock out the reveal, bring it to you guys. So do us a favor, share this video with others so that they can get the information you just did. We'll see you on the next video.